Well, thank you everybody for joining this afternoon's digital edition of the Crealog Summit 2025, which was held in as well sunny Munich in autumn last year. For those of you that have not been able to attend, that was a two-day conference about sovereign IT, generative AI, of course, a lot of technology, but also how communication is changing. There was a great podium discussion about conversational user interface design, of course, about MCP, where we will see Michael later on. And we will try to summarize those 2 days into 57 minutes. And it will be a bit difficult, but we will try. And I think the German version proved that we can do it. So let's try to stick to the remaining time. And we will, as I just said, I will introduce the Gartner Hype Cycle regarding AI, of course, and what we can learn from it and how we can bring this to a vision in the year 2030 for our own companies. Then Michael will speak about MCP and Anne about conversational user interface. And like I said, please feel free to chat to us. And Michael, very good to have you here as the managing director and one of the founders of Crealog. Maybe you want to welcome our guests and set the stage.
Yeah, thank you, Ralf, and thank you all of you that so many of you are here, and we are happy that we are beyond the presentation of last year. We had some minor updates, so the market is moving, technology is moving, and there will be something new now. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, especially in the technical standards that we see, things are really moving fast. We saw that Google launched something, we could say on the good side, we could say to create even more standardization, and on the other side, to create an even higher dependency on Google to take care of our shopping behavior. But let's see how that will mature over time. I think MCP as the platform to gain sovereignty and to make faster deployments in companies able or to enable faster deployments is in any way a very good standard created by Anthropic approximately 18 months ago. All right, so as I said, I will try to put the Gartner Hype Cycle a little bit into what this means for AI. So my name is Ralf Mühlenhöver. Thank you very much, Crealog team, that I can guide and run this session with you and your great guest today. So I have founded 2 tech companies in the software business, sold both of them, and I'm working as a lecturer, as an author, speaker, and consultant today. But I'm not important today. It's more how AI influences our everyday business, and I would try to put a little bit the theoretical background, and then we will go into the practical details on how you as customers or prospects of Crealog can use modern technology in the Crealog platform. So for those of you that have not seen the latest cartoons and failures of AI, I brought a little bit to smile in today's times. Maybe we don't do that often enough. So of course, somebody is asked to how he is getting along with his work, complaining about that he has to get rid of all those alerts on AI trying to help him to summarize, to start an action or whatever. You may have seen from Migros in Switzerland, the reindeer with 5 feet and the Santa Claus without a whip. And then maybe also there's a little bit too many bones on the head and some other mistakes. Those who can find all of them will get a little special souvenir from the Crealog marketing team. Unfortunately, I also have to make fun of one website every time I give a speech, and maybe they listen one day. Expedia, one of the global leading platforms for booking, I asked them today at 11:07. I'm sorry, this is in German only. I asked them a very special question, which is difficult to answer for a travel website, which means I would like to travel to Hamburg in June. And the answer is, we're sorry, can we connect you to an agent? Which is maybe not what you would expect from AI in the year 2026 in the meantime. And it's easy to make fun of those mistakes, but there is also a prediction of Forrester, one of the large analysts, that at least 2 large, well-known brands will have a dramatic failure in their customer communication this year, which will expose them on the maybe on the first page of the yellow press, or at least in our CX customer service communication tech bubble. So let's see who the first one will be to get the shame. The topic of the Crealog summit was communication from A to Z beyond AI. So what do we have to make sure to be able to deploy AI in a good way, that we see results, that we see an ROI? And system architecture, process intelligence combined with technological expertise is basically what makes it. And it's not the latest version of that and that LLM or that protocol. They will all help, but you have to make sure that you consider any AI installation as just another IT project. So look at from high intelligent AI systems down to your legacy systems. You will for sure not have COBOL in place anymore, but you will have maybe some black and white screens left that, or Michael is doubting whether there's not maybe a little bit of COBOL left in some of the insurances here. So technology is there, but integration is lacking. How do we now bridge the gap from this cool new modern stuff that your CEO and the board of directors are using on the way to the next board meeting, and you have to run that backend infrastructure down there? And if we now have a realistic view on the Gartner Hype Cycle, that should help us to see, okay, what can we use when, what is the expectation of when technology is ready? So the Gartner Hype Cycle, for those of you that don't know the systematic behind, is a description of expectations. It's not of what is actually done today, but what people expect for certain technology to take place at a certain moment in a certain stage. And there are these five, how do you say, five time zones or five slots in which things happen. And this is a general idea that has nothing to do with AI, but it explains quite nice. So on the x-axis, we have the time. On the y-axis, we have the expectation in something. And everything starts typically with an R&D breakthrough, like a Google paper called Attention is All You Need. And then there are some startups and they get money and they make the first products and they are very costly. And the early adopters investigate and invest and deploy. And everybody is then all about it. Like if in the 8 o'clock evening news, people are talking about ChatGPT, then you definitely know that mass media hype has started. And then typically there is a so-called trough of disillusionment. So companies go bankrupt, the installations are not successful. And then you slowly get through this slope of enlightenment to the plateau of productivity. So that's how all technologies somehow get introduced. And of course, the same applies to AI. And what we see in the 2025 Gartner Hype Cycle for AI is that AI agents and generative AI are, of course, in there, but Gen AI is already on the way down. So all the expectations maybe that we had 6-12 months after ChatGPT was launched, they did not mature into real ROI because too many guardrails needed and too many hallucination, and the costs are far too high. So there are different challenges that led to Gen AI maybe not being as good as we expected it to be. And what's really maturing now is cloud AI services like speech to text, text to speech. There is a big co-op now between 11 Labs and Deutsche Telekom. So things are really, everything that has to be the deployment side of it is working quite good. What we see here is that the three things that are interesting to us in this call are expected to reach the plateau in the next 2 to 5 years. And I think we can see that Gen AI is almost there. It's getting better and better, more mature, getting cheaper in the meantime. AI agents, I think we still have to go through that trough of disillusionment, but maybe using the right approach in conversational user interface design, using the right technology like MCP, we can get there faster. And that's our responsibility in companies to make sure we can use it. So my message one is agentic AI is at its peak. You will be asked by your boss why you don't use it yet in your company. And maybe there are some answers here that can help you in your next board meeting or your budget meeting. So it's a little bit like everybody wants it now. And I will also say FOMO, so fear of missing out. It's not the magical solution that some other people will describe to you. Yeah, not only because there are still problems and things don't work, but it's also that the costs are quite high, and that it's in that aspect could be just another technology to help you. And we have seen that it takes much longer to get customers accept new technologies. We even see that, for example, messaging and customer service is losing momentum, and people are more using the phone again. Then fear of missing out, I already said, and front-end focus. So if people are using ChatGPT on the way to the meeting in which they will want to talk with you about why you don't use any agents yet, then you know that front-end is really stealing the attention here. So the expectations are unrealistic, and that's what we have to be careful, especially when we are now at the top of the inflated expectation. Then we see that the trough of disillusionment is then where the reality check is inevitable. So why does it not work for us? Is it too expensive? Does it not deliver as we wanted? Are the calls now maybe taking twice as long as in a deterministic rule-based system? So that means that it's not only an AI problem, but it's everything below. So it's the data is not okay, so you can't really deliver because the data is not good enough. Your legacy systems maybe don't have an API, so you can't access the systems, and so on and so on. The presentation will be delivered to you after this conference, so there's no need to go through everything. And I already mentioned that too many guardrails may be needed today to really tame Gen AI and to avoid hallucination there. So what can we do to get out of the valley? Well, we have to ask the right questions. And you have seen the subtitle of the conference. So system architecture. How can we create the technical conditions to integrate Gen AI and agentic AI into our environment? Process intelligence. So what do we want to do? Not, okay, let's buy an AI and then we will solve some problems, but the other way around. Where do we have a challenge that Gen AI can help us to solve this problem? And do we have the capabilities to integrate? And you already are joining this call, so choosing Crealog as a partner will for sure help you on having those capabilities. So it's not which AI should I buy, but more which process do we want to transform and how can we do that? Message number 3, the real transformation within the company is the path to enlightenment. So after the trough of disillusionment, you understand what happened. It's not a PowerPoint, but everything is now more, let's say, mature. And maybe you had a negative experience with something, which is great. Like Elon Musk every time says when one of the rockets blow up, we learned so much. I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. So we shift in focus from AI tools to really where can we use AI in the process. We integrate into our backend infrastructure and we really transform. That's why I like the motto so much. It's really beyond AI. So what's next and how can I put this into my company? Then once we have reached the plateau of productivity, we really have productionized AI, be it Gen AI, be it agentic AI. We are using it in production. We're rolling it out to more and more departments. We don't go into the details right now, but we will have a look at MCP and conversation user interface as 2 of the segments that will help you reaching that plateau of productivity. So how does the communication in the year 2030 look like? What's my vision on that? We will definitely see proactive and predictive AI. Systems will detect a need, be it logistics, be it power supply, be it a network failure, be it a machine that will fail, like predictive maintenance in companies. So we will see a lot more proactive AI. Maybe sometimes also making communication unnecessary because of a proactive reach out. We will see much more human in the loop and agent in the loop, and I mean a machine agent here situation. So conversation will go to an agent and the machine will help in the background, and the other way around. Hyper-personalization, of course, with GDPR and the EU AI Act, this is maybe a bit of a challenge still in Europe, but still we will try to use customer experiences to make their life better. And last but not least, people will be the differentiating factor in a more and more machine world. It's important to get the humans involved when the customer expects it, and we will also listen to that enhanced speech. So my wish is, because I'm really a total communications fan, is that we will make this from a cost factor to a strong competitive advantage, so that companies that are really actively investing into their communication strategy using AI will dominate the market. What can you take away from this super short summary of what we discussed intensively last year in Munich? Don't fear the trough. Do your test. Go through it. It's normal. It's necessary to try things out and learn from it. With Crealog's motto beyond AI, focus on the basics. So do your homework. Make sure your system architecture as well is good. You have enough data that you are allowed to use, that you really know what you want to do, which is more important than ChatGPT 5.2 or whatever the next version number will be. Start with the process, like I already said. Look at what you want to do and not how you want to do it. And make sure that this cooperation between human and machine will work very well. At least today, this is the best result you can get when the machine knows when it should escalate it to a human and the other way around. Yeah. And it's a marathon. You all know this. You have done IT projects before. AI is maybe, on the one side, it's just another technology that we should use, but on the other side, it's also a breakthrough for a lot of things, especially when we talk about agentic, and more to that we will hear from Michael in a second. So thank you very much for listening to me on the Gartner Hype Cycle, which is not something that you would use every day. I believe, at least, that you will not use this every day, but it can help you to better understand where we are standing with certain technology. MCP, Michael, did not make it to the Gartner Hype Cycle because it's maybe part of their agentic AI approach and Gen AI, but it's a super hot topic right now, an interesting topic that helps companies to gain sovereignty, is something I always stress, and also we will see a shift in how things are deployed. More to that from you. So thank you very much that you have the time to join us today and help us educate on MCP.
Yeah, thank you, Ralf. Thank you for your presentation and the typical path to AI and how to reach the plateau of productivity. And I believe that MCP, the Model Context Protocol, could be a good helper with the standardization to reach this plateau.
Okay.
My name is Michael Kloos. I'm a founder and managing director of Crealog, and I will show you today a presentation about Model Context Protocol and how this can be your pathway to new data sovereignty. In the past, we have seen a shift in AI architectures. There were static models, large monolithic systems, and now we are moving to agentic and sovereign AI workflows. And in this context, what is MCP? How does it enable data sovereignty, governance, and observability? And how is hybrid stack useful to integrate rule-based approaches, record retrieval, augmented generation, and agentic AI with MCP? Let's have a closer look. In the past, we had a big data leakage into external clouds. The biometric data had been sent to the cloud, the content of the speech to text, text to speech, the data, the context, the processes, lots of data have been sent to the public clouds. We also had seen a lot of fragmented integration and vendor logins by a big landscape with AI, CRM, and all the others. Silos had been created, shadow AI and media description have led to dependency and a lack of transparency. But what do we want? Now we are looking for systems, for AI systems, which must ask, not simply take all the data. They have to ask when they want to use data. Company data must stay local and AI must act transparent. So we want to be independent from the different LLM vendors, speech to text and text to speech engines, and we want to reach a sovereign and traceable AI architecture. And in this context, MCP is a big game changer for all of us. It's like an USB-C port for AI applications. That's how Anthropic, the inventors of the Claude LLM, have called this open standard. They have introduced a standardized interface with MCP for prompts, for tools, and resources. And the standard is fully LLM agnostic and allows the creation of interoperable AI solutions. And the main concept is LLMs, the large language models, must explicitly request data access. The time to send all the data to the LLM are gone. Let's have a look. How is this architecture working? On the top left, we have the bot. A bot, an AI application. It can be a voice bot, a chatbot, or any other AI application using one or more large language models like the OpenAI GPT-4.1. And the bot has an MCP client. And with the MCP client, the bot has a unified access through the MCP standard to the landscape of the backend servers of the company. So we have an MCP server for different specific department offering application logic and data access. And there's a governance layer quite often introduced to access and control the data access. The MCP server has tools, prompts, and resources. And in a large company, we will see lots of MCP servers because every department can create, following the standard rules, their own MCP server. And the great thing is, it is not only a standard to have multiple MCP servers in one application and to orchestrate these MCP servers. You can also create lots of different bots using different LLMs, and these other bots can also access the existing MCP server landscape with their MCP client. So it's a really open architecture. And in the MCP server, we have seen there are different capabilities. These capabilities are exposed from the MCP server just by prompting. It's not a programmer's interface like in the past, it's prompting. They describe their capabilities with text. And the bots via the MCP client can query these capabilities. We have different kind of capabilities. We have the prompts, which like a step-by-step instruction are predefined prompts that help the bot, the AI, to solve specific tasks. We have the tools. These are the typical backend functions, the web services, the API calls. They are behind the tools. And we have additional resources, documents, style gates, some other additional information. How does this work? We have, for example, an insurance company. There's a bot. He does know nothing about the use cases, like an agent on its first day. He has 3 different MCP servers configured. And at the beginning of its shift or of a conversation, the bot will ask the 3 MCP servers, what tools, what resources or prompts are available with you? And the MCP servers will answer with their capabilities just by a textual description with all the required parameters. And then the bot knows how to handle user interaction. For example, if a user is calling because his e-bike has been stolen, the bot will assign this utterance to an intent which can be solved by the MCP tool to report a claim. This intent assignment can be done by the LLM of the bot. And then the bot knows, okay, there is a tool available called report a claim, and there are several parameters with it. So the bot will ask the user about missing parameters like the customer number, contract number, claim details, and for example, the date of theft. The caller will give all this information, and if this has been finished, the bot will call the MCP server, transfer the data. The MCP server will store the data in the database, and everything will be confirmed. That's the main concept of MCP, separation between bot and MCP server. So in the beginning, we have seen the bot has had no knowledge of the use case. It asked or queried this information initially from the MCP servers, and the MCP servers gave this information by text, by prompting. And when the bot's LLM recognizes that the user wants to use a specific use case, then the bot collects all necessary parameters and calls these tools. There are some other features of the MCP for follow-up questions, for asking the user or the bot itself for additional information and access to the LLM. These two features are called elicitation and LLM sampling and give a lot of additional power to the MCP architecture. If I have a look back to how such a bot is built, we typically have two phases. One is the initial start phase. There's an initial prompt, how a user must be treated by the bot. The bot will typically have some kind of identification. For this, it will use a tool. Then we have a prompt, typically a customer and a non-customer flow. And for both of these flows, there will be additional flows for the intent routing and prioritization of the intents of the user. And then for each intent, we have a flow or a prompt to work with this use case. There are the tools available to fulfill the requirements of the flow, to have the backend access for read, write, and query requests. And we have some special tools like the AI search for knowledge databases or the web search for real-time internet access. These are the core concepts of MCP, and we deploy such a solution. There's an important point we want to emphasize. We have the bot with the MCP client in the lower left, and the bot should directly communicate with the MCP server and not the LLM. So the bot is only chatting with the LLM for what is really needed. No extra information, not all information of the company must be moved to the LLM anymore, and there's no direct access from the mostly external LLM to the MCP server. But the bot directly communicates with its MCP client, with the MCP server, and the LLM is only directly communicating with the bot. So when we now go forward to real life applications, we often have a combination of different approaches. We have a hybrid AI stack which can be implemented with our platform. We have still very often the classic rule-based LLM access, which is fully governed and stable. We have the RAG, retrieval augmented generation, how to access database, how to get knowledge for the frequently asked question systems. And we have the agentic AI with MCP, where we can create dynamic and agentic bots with a dynamic requesting of context prompts and system functions and tools to reach a highly flexible and agent-capable architecture. When using our secure MCP-enabled platform, you have the direct integration of the MCP client and the Crealog bot platform. We have the agentic AI, which can be used with its prompts, tools, resources. And we can guarantee that the communication between the bot and the MCP client and the MCP server is always local. There's no connectivity through the internet. We have an orchestration of AI components, which is fully technology agnostic. So you have a wide choice of speech to text, text to speech, LLMs available for our platform. You have all the channels you can think about, and you can deploy the platform on-premise, in the cloud, or in hybrid setups. And you can use the MCP-based agentic AI with rule-based LLM usage, with our low-code service creation environment, and with retrieval augmented generation-based knowledge-based access. So you have a solution architecture depending on your use case. You can combine technologies in the same dialogue, and you have total cost control and total cost optimization, because we can control the LLM token usage and the usage for the speech-to-text and text-to-speech engines. At the end, we have a sovereignty by architecture. MCP is here really the key to an open and sovereign AI architecture. You are totally independent from technology. The bots are empowered to be intelligent and ready for all channels, and the data sovereignty is fully guaranteed for your company. Crealog is your agentic AI bot platform provider, and you can build a solution with rule-based LLM usage, with RAG and MCP, and we can give you the architecture for it. Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael, for educating us on Model Context Protocol, and the applause is all yours. You don't hear it, you can't hear it, but we can see it. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for confirming that MCP is really something that changes our approach to deploying bots and realizing dialogue automation in companies more easy than before. If anybody wants to take part in the communication, please feel free either to chat, and we will make sure, Anna Christina, who had to leave, that you will get access to the recording and to the presentations, because for all of you, this is really important, enabling you to use MCP for future customer communication. Michael, a question from my side. Combination is maybe the wrong word. The decision on using rules, LLM, retrieval augmented generation, and then in the future, real agentic AI. How do we balance out when to use what? So you said it is possible. That's already great. But how do we decide? How can you as Crealog help our customers that they take the right decision on what to do in which specific dialogue or in which specific part of a dialogue?
I think a very pragmatic approach are costs. If you are using lots of LLM tokens and lots of speech-to-text, text-to-speech, it's more cost than expensive than to use pre-produced announcements like you do in rule-based systems. And but the most important thing is how important is audibility, also that you can really guarantee that a special use case is followed a rule. If you have a confirmation, for example, about a cancellation, or if you sign a contract on with a bot, then you have to follow rules. But the good message is you can also use MCP to implement rule-based call flow. So you can, even with MCP, decide you want to be more agentic AI, or you can have a real rule-based part in the dialogue flow. For example, you have a decision about a special upgrade for your contract. You can discuss it with a bot. The bot will collect all your data. This is typically agentic AI. But then if you confirm the upgrade, there's some legal requirements, then you can use even MCP to be fully compliant to a specific guideline how to confirm to a contract, and then you have a really legal binding contract as a result.
Okay, great. I think especially what you just said, like compliance, governance, auditability, audit trails, and so on, is getting so important in the world of LLMs, because in the former days, no matter if pushing a button or saying a word, you could exactly know what will happen, and it would 100%, it would always be the same. If the speech to text, or if the ASR would understand sales, you would always transfer that call to the sales department. And if it would say 1, 2, 3, and you did recognize 1, 2, 3, then your meter would be logged in with 1, 2, 3 kilowatt hours. And that is not the case anymore. Maybe it's even starting with the greeting, like 99 greetings are great. And they say, welcome to my wonderful company. It's 8 o'clock and nobody's available for you, but you can, I don't know, talk to me. But the 100th one will say, I don't feel so good this morning. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock, but they are all still sleeping. I don't know. So things can go wrong. And you say with auditability and guardrails and really tuning, we can make sure that that doesn't happen. We try to, at least.
Yeah. We have to follow the rules of Anne, which will show us how to do it right.
And that's a wonderful closing sentence. And Anne is showing up perfect. I don't even have to orchestrate this, so wonderful. So I don't even have to act as MCP here, but everything works like a charm. Anne, you are an experienced voice user interface designer.
Yes.
I already said in the German version of the session today that I remember TUI, and not the travel agency TUI, but the telephone user interface. From there, we went to voice user interface, so VUI, which was, I said, okay, yeah, it's not only the telephone now, but it's also Alexa and Siri and Hey Google and so on. Now we're going next level, which is conversational user interface. You are an expert for designing the best possible conversational user interface, and most eager to hear your presentation. So welcome on stage. Thanks for having time that you can share with us. And next to Cherry Blossom, looking forward to your speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your introduction, Ralf. Yeah, we just talked about this new word after TUI and VUI. We're talking about CUI now, which is a conversational user interface. So why are we talking about conversational interfaces now? It's simply because we don't only talk with the voice channel anymore, but there are so many more channels available. We can use WhatsApp, we can use Facebook, or we can use a chat on the website. So all these channels are conversational channels. So in order to optimize the conversations in these channels, we talk about the conversational user interface. And this is not just about what a system can do, it's about how the interaction with the system and our bot feels. The conversational user interface is a dialogue layer between the user and a company. It translates what a bot can do into a conversation that feels clear, understandable, and as natural as possible. That's why design is not just a technical task, it's very much a design and communication challenge. To do that well, we need a clear persona and deliberately designed language. And language is more than just voice. It's text, it's tone, voice, it's expression and attitude. When we communicate with bots, we do it on a linguistic level. Beyond our voice alone, words can express and also evoke emotions in many different ways. Through our word choice, the sentence structure, and the prosody, we can describe emotions, and we also create them when we talk to each other using language. Now, when we talk to LLM-based bots, they are built on a language model, a large language model. These language models, they can imitate emotions by drawing on statistical patterns of emotional language found in their extensive training data. An LLM, therefore, has no emotions of its own, but it contains the statistical representations of emotional language, because those patterns exist in the training data. Now, when we chat with an LLM, for example, with ChatGPT, there's always a chat interface on top of the model. Providers such as OpenAI define the rules to ensure safe and acceptable responses. This layer, when we work with ChatGPT, for example, is therefore predefined. But it's important to know that this chat interface is not static. It can change depending on what the provider does. And users notice immediately when the emotional tone of a bot changes, even when the change is really subtle. So last summer, when ChatGPT switched from version 4 to 5, it initially felt noticeably less emotional. So there was a change. Many users picked up on this right away and they were very unhappy. Some even canceled their ChatGPT subscriptions. About after a week, OpenAI adjusted GPT-5 to sound warmer again, and in order to calm the upset users and to address the feedback. That's why we need a third layer when we are designing our bots. We call it the personality layer. In this layer, designers can deliberately define and shape emotions, style, and a tone our bot should have, independent of what training data and the chat interface automatically provide. And this is how we ensure that the bot's persona remains consistent and experienceable for our users. This personality layer is a central design layer within the conversational user interface, and we can shape it through prompt design. The more open conversations with bots become, and the more capable these bots are, and we just heard a lot about MCP opening up even more possibilities, the more the bots need design in order to remain consistent, understandable, and controllable. And that's exactly why prompt design is so important. LLMs are open and generative. They no longer follow fixed dialogues flow, but they can respond and phrase things in very different ways and sometimes unexpected ways. As a result, they have many degrees of freedom within the interface in tone, style, and behavior. And prompt design provides orientation here. It defines how the bot behaves, how it speaks, how it responds to users, and how consistent that behavior remains across voices, models, and situations. In doing so, we give our bot a clear role and persona. This allows us to create a consistent way of addressing users and to adapt the bot to the context and the specific conversation. At the same time, we always keep the target audience in mind. We choose the right voice and optimize the guidance within the dialogue accordingly. Now, for our design approach, we can build on an interesting concept developed by Don Norman. He had an idea that everyday objects elicit emotions. So he came up with his emotional design. And he was talking about chairs and toaster ovens, but this principle translates very well to bots as well, because also here, the emotional experience of the interaction matters. So we can try to apply his ideas to the prompt design across 3 levels. The first level that we're going to look at is the visceral level, and it's the first thing we feel. It's about the first impression. How intuitive does the bot feel? What's my gut reaction? Does the voice sound pleasant? Does the greeting feel friendly? So within the first few seconds, we already decide whether a bot feels approachable and likable or cold and distant. Now, the next level is the behavioral level, and that focuses on the actual conversations. Are the responses clear? Is the pacing right? Can we give some short confirmations to give some grounding in the conversation? And this determines whether the interaction feels smooth and pleasant or exhausting. Now, after the conversation, we reach the reflective level. Was the interaction helpful? Have I felt taken seriously? And most importantly, would I use the bot again? Or will I just try to go as quickly to a human as possible when I call again? And this is where long-term acceptance is decided. When we deliberately design all 3 levels, we can create a bot that not only works, but also convinces on an emotional level. And now when we do all this work, of course, we want to reap some benefits. And we have very clear benefits when we establish a great conversational user interface design. One of them is higher user satisfaction, and we can measure this with our KPIs. We have improved conversion rates when our users trust the bot and the bot feels approachable and pleasant. We also have fewer drop-offs. When a conversation feels smoother and much more human, our users stay engaged and they will be much more cooperative. We can also strengthen our brand loyalty with a bot that can emotionally convey brand values and create a sense of closeness with the user. This allows us to make our bots not only functional and reliable, but also approachable and welcoming, creating real value in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne, for giving us an introduction into conversational user interface design. A difficult word.
It is a difficult word.
And it's also difficult to execute. I mean, you already described that you really have to know your, let's say, psychological background behind. I remember a company like 15 years ago that were a little bit revolutionizing IVR design, and they had, I don't know, 10 sociologists and not only computational linguists, but psychologists and so on. So they really try to understand what triggers, like behavioral science, what triggers customer behavior, what makes a call a good call. If I talk 15 minutes to a person, which is very empathetic and everything is really great, and the problem is not solved, then maybe I go out of this call quite happy, and then I realize, well, it was a great call and we had lots of fun, but my problem is still not solved. So I think it's really beneficial to companies understanding that it's more than just designing this call flow, workflow in a tool, and then uploading some kind of voice file. Welcome to my company. Now this and this will happen, but really to look at it from a more psychological point of view, and really looking at the user interface. Which on all of our, I mean, we all know how this thing changed our behavior on how to use computers. So I think this design approach is really important. You have shown on one of the slides the benefits that would result from this, like higher customer satisfaction, lower handling time, and so on. Do you see that customers are more willing to go through a longer process easier if the bot is really helpful and speaks in the right tone to them? Because we accept longer calls when a human is on the phone and say, okay, this will take a little bit. I need to register you again on my website, and can you upload your passport again? Does that also change in bot behavior then?
Yes, definitely. So the key point here, I think, is cooperation. So we need our users to be cooperative with the bot. If they don't want to cooperate, they just, they will avoid the conversation and they will do anything like singing or whatever they come up with to avoid the bot. So we need to find a way to elicit this cooperation. And here the design is the main point, and it starts with the voice. It's this visceral level, when you hear a voice and you think, oh my, I really, it sounds arrogant, or maybe someone sounds very tired, and you think, oh, he can't solve the problem. So it's really the first impression that gives you the feeling, okay, can this work well or maybe not? So when we look at this visceral level, we need to make sure that just in the first couple of seconds and in the greeting, we have a positive emotion, and then the user will cooperate with us. And we also need to consider that it's always use case dependent. We have some use cases where users are extremely cooperative. When I want to disable my credit card because it has been stolen, I will do anything the bot asks me. I will be super patient and I will do anything. If I have something else where I've already waited an hour to talk to someone, I might think, well, whatever, I'll just change my contract to a different company. So it also depends on the use case.
Yeah, fully agree with that. And should we not also always be kind to bots, because one day they take over and they will remember how we talk to them?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You also said, and I realized that from the past, that a central target of conversation user interface design is that we are consistent over the different channels. So I want to have the same experience in the app, on the website, in the shop, ideally, on the phone, and everywhere. Now, in deterministic AI and rule-based, that was easier to realize because all the voice prompts were pre-recorded and we knew what was going on. So, but with the freedom or the liberty or both of an LLM, is that not more difficult to reach? I mean, we have the hard hallucination where the machine just says something which is wrong, and there are more and more tools to cover that, and the LLMs itself also became much better on that, and it's almost difficult to cheat them now to try to get an hallucination. But if we say that there should be some kind of situative empathy, how far can we allow the bot to act on a specific reaction or action of the user on the other side?
Yeah. So actually, I think getting the consistency over the channels is going to be easier in the future using LLMs, because if we're honest, in the past, there was no consistency over the channels. So when you write an email, or even when I make a call, sometimes they would switch voices in one conversation. You hear like a click and a beep, and then there's the next voice. So we didn't really have consistency anyways. And I think now when we say we have an above this chat interface, the personality layer, which is very well defined, and of course there might be a hallucination from time to time. We cannot avoid this. But in general, this personality layer gives us the consistency for all the channels who rely on the same interface.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing those insights. I think they will be a great help for the audience here to decide on how to approach this important topic, because as we know, especially on the phone, as you said, the voice on the other side, the perception. I mean, you especially like having different the click and you're transferred to maybe another supplier or a BPO, and then they have their own voice bot / IVR, and you have this really disturbing experience. And I think we can learn from good conversational user interface design. So thank you very much, and
thank you,
and see you in the future, I guess, because there will be quite some events still this year. And Michael, maybe you want to close the session to introduce on what there will be in the next month and where we can see Crealog.
Yeah, thank you, Ralf, and especially thank you, Anne, for the great UI presentation and the follow-up discussion. Yeah, we will hopefully we will see you on the Call Center World in Berlin quite soon, in end of February. Perhaps we see one or the other on the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. We are here from the 2nd to the 5th of March. And last not least, we have our Crealog Summit. It's already save the date available. We will be there again in the highlight towers on the 27th and 28th of October. And it would be a great pleasure and honor if you would join us. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving an outlook on what's coming. So it's not only talking about abbreviations like MCP and CUI or CUI, but also meeting and talking about things that are happening within the company Crealog, also on your bot platform, and how companies can leverage the new possibilities of AI. Not forgetting the hype cycle, and it's allowed to make mistakes, but maybe only make every mistake one time and then learn from it and then get through the trough of disillusionment to the plateau of productivity. But we know that there is operational pressure, and the board of directors what thinks, and the CTO and the CIO, they maybe do not have access to so much budget anymore than in the past because economical times are a bit difficult. But I think it's our almost duty to deliver the best possible communication experience for our customers, for suppliers, for our employees. So it was great to have this session. Thank you very much, Crealog team, that I was able to moderate here, and that we can say goodbye and see you soon to the international audience. Any questions after the call, please feel free to reach out to the colleagues of Crealog, reach out over LinkedIn. Annette, any other last famous words for today?
No, you did it brilliant. All the three of you. I'm very, very happy to have you being, part of this webinar. Thank you so much. And to all our attendees, thank you for being with us, for sharing this 1 hour time with us in the afternoon. And be sure, this is a promise I give you. You're going to get the next invitation, definitely. So keep your eyes open, have a look at your inbox, look at LinkedIn, and because we feel that this kind of format, especially for our international audience, is a brilliant possibility to keep in touch with you and keep you updated. And in the meantime, feel free to contact us, whatever channel you would like to use. So either voice, take the telephone or your handheld, or write us a short email or chat with us via LinkedIn. Feel free. We are happy to keep our contact with you and make it even more in-depth. Those are the last words for today. And thank you so much, Ralf, for being our moderator today, being our host. And
most happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And bye-bye to all of you.
Thanks to the team. Bye-bye. And you all, wherever you are, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.
Bye-bye.